Welcome to Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. This podcast is about the journey to a more sustainable future in order for us to be able to do our bit to achieve net zero. I'll be discussing a variety of topics with experts in their field in order to educate and increase our knowledge of clean energy, electric vehicles and the electric vehicle infrastructure. So whether you're an individual wanting to make a difference at home, a small business or a corporate, this podcast is just for you. On today's episode, I've got the wonderful Ric Boullemier from Generate Media. And for those of you who work in the sector, in kind of EV charging or EVs or anything, you will know Ric. For those that don't know him, I will take you through a journey today. So thank you, Ric, for joining me. It's lovely to see you.
Thanks for having me, Liz. Much appreciated. And loving your work. Oh,
thank you very much. Right. Let's start off with a little bit. I always talk about people's background and or get to find out a little bit more about you. I've obviously talked to you for a few minutes beforehand, but give me some background about how you got into the role that you're doing now at Generate Media. It's your business. You've been going for about nearly 6 years now, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm journalist by trade, and it all started back at uni, and I just love talking to people and finding out stories. And my mum and dad are both journalists, and so I guess it runs in the family. I've got cousins who work in radio and TV, so I think we just love talking to people, finding out stories, and helping to share those stories. And that's where Generate Media came from, which is one arm of our brand, which we've built to help share brand stories. And because some people have got amazing products and amazing, stories to tell, but don't quite know how to get it out there. And the same with you. You love finding out about new, cool, innovative stuff. So we help to get that out there through the Generate Media arm of the brand. And then we've built a sort of another side of things, which is the Sustainable Dad brand, which is basically me going around roving with a reporter mic and sticking microphones in people's faces and trying to get stories and catch them off guard and get the truth.
And that's what we need. It's kind of really important to kind of get that over, isn't it? But right, so you've been a reporter for a long time. You said that you started at uni. But what did that look like when you first started? Because things now, and it doesn't have to be about the sustainable side or anything, but things now are so different, and all the camera techniques and everything that, the digital, I mean, I know you're not that old either, but everything, everything, not as old as me, love, everything that you use now, probably, I'm assuming, wouldn't have been around when you were kind of just leaving uni and starting and all that kind of stuff. What does it look like then?
Well, if you think about it, when it goes right the way back to the Wall Street days of cut and paste, where there was newspaper, there was TV and radio, and cut and paste was literally taking tape, cutting it, pasting it back together, and that was how you edited footage. And obviously it's translated across to what we do now on computers. And then in the radio world, that's where I first started, and I was making radio packages and putting together news stories, working for a company called Talk Sport, one of the best radio stations in the world, according to their team. But they're brilliant company to work for, and it was a really, really good start to my career in journalism, because it was so fast paced, and I loved the fact that radio is instantaneous, but also packages that we had to edit and create had to be done really quickly. And that, I think, has is where we are nowadays. People's attention spans are very short. You don't have the luxury of being able to work and edit stuff for days, unless you're working on like these big documentaries or feature films. Turnaround and speed of turnaround is crucial, which is where I think my team that Generate Media and the content ninjas, the guys are so good. They're so quick. They just love what they do, and it's great watching them work as well. And they do all of the editing, and I sort of sit back and help with the presenting and the reporting side of things. But I think people need fast turnaround stuff and fast turnaround content nowadays.
So all of the work that you're doing at the moment then with Generate Media and Sustainable Dad has got it links to sustainability, obviously, it links to electric vehicles, it links to kind of the move to electrification. How did you get there then? What made you decide that that was the way that you wanted to go?
I've always hated waste. I've always loved, the planet. I don't want to. By the way, I've got a very squeaky leather chair here. It's not the curry I had yesterday. But so if you hear weird noises,
I
it's the
can't
chair.
hear it. It's
Honest.
fine.
But yeah, going back to the question, I guess the main thing for me is I've got a couple of kids now, and I want to leave the planet in a better shape than I arrived in it, and we're not doing a very good job as a whole in that, and we need to work together to try and do that. So there are loads of different ways we can reduce waste. So through our content, we hope to inspire more people to adopt electric vehicles, to travel less. Not you don't need to go on that flight several times a year. Drive places if you have to rather than flying. Cycle when you can, walk when you can. So it's more about inspiring that and showing you how to do it. And if we can do it in a fun way as well, then that's definitely a bonus. And the first time I drove an electric car was on the electric vehicle road trip in the Middle East many years ago. And they said, Rick, here is the keys to a Tesla Model S P100D. You're driving this car for the first leg of this journey. And I was like, right, nice. I've heard a lot about Teslas. Let's see what it's got. Oh my God, unbelievable. What a car. It's just, I don't want to swear, but it's very flipping fast and great performance and just an absolute joy. So much tech as well. Drives for you. You can watch YouTube. You can, all these different games and stuff that have just taken driving to a whole new level. And that was my first experience with an electric car. And I realised then that is the future. Much as I love petrol cars, I love racing, I love driving, and I love the experience of driving a manual gear stick. It's not the future, and it will still have a place on this planet for years and years to come, and people can still drive them, but they're not practical. They're not good for the planet, and they're just not a good daily run around as well. And let's face it, most people drive cars just to get from A to B. They're not going, I want to rip it around a track or go up this mountain pass. There's still going to be a place for that, and I hope there is. But we have to look at more practical ways to get around.
And also, you've got a couple of children as well, haven't you? So that's the other, like you said, it's kind of like making sure that your kids can see you're doing something. And if I don't know about you, I mean, I'm kind of now past the dropping off for the school run age now, but the number of parents who used to park outside school and leave their engines running, and we've got small people just walking past their tailpipes, haven't we? And just, do they not realise what those kids are breathing in?
People idling outside school with their engines running is one of my biggest bugbear.
Yeah.
And just turn it off. It's saving you money because you're not burning petrol or diesel, and the fact that the kids are at a low height right next to the exhaust pipes, it's not good for them. It's not good for us. Not good for the neighbourhood. So number one, tip, if you're driving a petrol car, just turn it off whenever you can. That's a small way you can do your bit. You don't have to. Not everyone has to make the switch to electric right now, but look at ways you can reduce your carbon footprint, and by not driving. And I'd say the best thing I've bought as a dad over the last couple of years was a tandem attachment for my bike. So every morning I take the kids to school on this little tandem thing. They help on the back. They love it. We're at school quicker than we would be if we drove. No parking issues, no idling issues. Okay, when it rains, it's not ideal, but we get through it. That's what we have. Ponchos for and stuff like that. But get one of those. It will save you so much time. No traffic jams, no parking, no emissions. So get one of those. And I can't remember the make that we've got, but it is a brilliant dad hack. So I would recommend that.
Oh, that's good. That's good to know. And like you say, you're doing what you're doing. You're teaching your children, how to be sustainable themselves moving forward, which is going to make a massive difference. And going back to what you were talking about with regards to inspiration, I've got to say that when I look at the things that you do, they are really inspirational. And when I was saying about, the different kit that you were using ages ago, when you first started, the stuff that you guys do now is just, it's funny. It is inspirational. It just, if you haven't seen it, please check Ric out on LinkedIn and or on the Generate Media website, because
And OnlyFans, don't forget that.
oh, okay, away. But just all the stuff that you're doing is brilliant. The drive that you did in the Polestar, was it to the Alps earlier on this year? Mm-hmm. Go on, tell us a bit about that, because you filmed all that, didn't you? And the guys came with you.
Well, do you know what? A lot of the stuff that we make, it comes off the inspiration of conversations we have in the pub. And, it'll be conversations with your mates who go, oh, no, I'm not getting an electric car because I can't drive from, London to Cornwall for my annual road trip. So I'm not going to get an EV. It doesn't make sense for me. Like, well, you can, and it does. And we then go and prove that you can. So we've just come back from the Cornwall conundrum, which is how to drive from London to Cornwall and how to charge en route. And if you need to charge en route, some cars will have enough range to get there. So we show you how to do it using ZapMap, using the power card, using your home charger, plotting your route, and just making sure that you plan ahead. And Callum, one of the content ninjas here, his biggest advice is, if you haven't got someone helping you to navigate, just spend 30 seconds, 60 seconds before you leave, making sure you know where you're going to charge if you need to charge, because sometimes you don't even have to. So that Cornwall conundrum is coming out soon. But the Alps trip was a whole different kettle of fish. We worked with a company called Select Car Leasing, and they said, we need you to do a long distance road trip. And we said, great, well, we'll drive to Cornwall and back. And they went, nah, you need to go bigger than that. And we were like, okay, Alps. And they went, yes. And that was it. We started then storyboarding it, planning the trip, and going, what do we need to do? What car do we need? We spoke to Polestar, and they said, yep, sounds great. Here's a Polestar 2, long range. And off we went. And it was a piece of cake. It was a really enjoyable drive. But it goes to show you don't need to fly if you're going on your skiing holiday. You can drive, and you can do it with zero emissions if you get your planning right.
Do you know, this will lead perfectly into a conversation I had with one of my friends this weekend, Ric. And I'm going, so I live in Reading. And there's 4 of us going away for the weekend. We're just going to the Cotswolds, so for me it's an hour and a half away. But if I pick them up, it's kind of probably adds another hour onto it. It's not horrendous. And we've got a small battery, Ionic. It's 3 years old now. But actually, if it's fully charged when I leave, I can probably, and the weather's not horrendous at the moment. Once it drops, I'll get less, but I'll probably get, around 180 miles, depending on this, my speed, but I'll make sure I'll bring it down with them in it. And because the Ionic has kind of got the miles per kilowatt hour, you can monitor it quite easily, and it's fairly efficient. And I was one of my friends basically said, there's no charger at the house, and they're all non-EV drivers. And I don't know whether she was just in a bad mood anyway. So I kind of said, it's fine. I probably don't need to I only need to top up. If we're just going around, we're probably going to go to Diddley Squat Farm Shop, Jeremy Clarkson's, place, and places like that. And I'm
sure he's got a charger. He loves electric cars.
He does. A couple of chargers. He really doesn't, does he? Come on.
Well, anyway, James May and Richard Hammond have both got electric cars, and they're big fans of them as well. But
have they got them now? Well,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think, James May, they've done all sorts on EVs, but they still love petrol cars, and that's fine. But for your daily run around, get an electric car.
Exactly.
So, Liz, I jumped in there, but you're taking your mates on a long road trip.
Yeah.
What are your top tips? What do you do? You've been driving EVs for years. What do you do? What's your tips for anyone that's moving to electric?
Oh, you're interviewing me now. I like this. It's good. So Well, okay, make sure, obviously, if you're going on a long journey, try not to always charge up to 100% anyway. But if you're going away on a longer trip, I do tend to charge up to 100%. So, but then I tend to map it out. I'll work out if I'm going to go to pick up my friend Kelly, and then she's in Maidenhead, so Reading to Maidenhead is that many miles. If I'm up picking up Emily, I am a bit anally retentive. Emily and Vix will be there as well, so that'll be up in Buckingham. Right, this is how many miles I've got. Right, okay, I've got 50 miles or 80 miles to play with. Don't really need to do much other than maybe top up on the way back. Mm-hmm. Or if I do, I'll do some opportune charging. And just kind of, I'll look at ZapMap. I've already looked at ZapMap and said, all right, okay, so there's some 7 kilowatts, not too far away from where we're staying. I can always chuck it on for an overnight charge, or there's a 22 kilowatt. You know, there's not loads where we're staying, but actually it's all right. So it's not a faff. But my friend Vicky said, it's a faff, this charging malarkey, but she doesn't drive one yet.
I think when people join you on a road trip, and that's what we try to do with our car content, is invite people along for the ride, and they can see how simple it is. And if you have the right planning, and if you do charge, or if you're able to charge at home, it does mean you can start fully charged. So I've got a 7 kilowatt Zappy charger now. 7 kilowatt Zappy is, you got one as well?
Yep.
I couldn't live without. I love it, and it's brilliant, and it's very smart. Does loads of other things, but ultimately it means when you get home from work, you can plug your car in, and just go to bed, you know, or go about your daily life. You don't need to sit and watch it charge. It's just like plug it, charging up. This guy, you know, how often, if you charge that up overnight, you know, you wake up the next morning, it's fully charged, you're good for the rest of the day. It's the same with electric cars. But if you haven't got a home charger, you need to know where your favourite ones are, whether it's you know, an Osprey or a GridServe or a Pogo or a Fastned. You know, so many different charging options out there now, and these guys are really fast. So a 7 kilowatt Zappy, 7 kilowatts means it charges pretty slowly still. But you want like a 50 kilowatt for a really fast charge, or 150, or even a 350 kilowatt. And you know, we were at the London EV show this year. They've got 400 kilowatt charge now, I think even a 450, which means, you know, they're future proofing it, and charging electric cars are only ever going to get better. And at the moment, yeah, people are still struggling it. I've got a Tesla which is 10 years old now. It's done nearly 90,000 miles.
Wow.
It doesn't have CCS charging, so it only has a Type 2 charger, which means it can't take the super fast charges. But I've never noticed, I've not had a major issue with it because I always charge at home. So it does make it easy, but it's kind of knowing your charge rates and knowing how to get sort of optimal charge when you need it. So charge when you can, not when you have to, is another good tip as well. You know, if you know that you can, you know, say if you were coming to my house for a cup of tea and you wanted to stick your car on charge for an hour, it's not going to give you it's not going to give you a full charge, but it'll put 20 odd miles in, which will be enough to get you back to Reading.
That's what I was thinking, really, because I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to say anything now. I know we're thinking she was having a bad day, so let's just go in, you know, in the EV, and I won't make a big thing of it. And you know, if I see a charger and we're somewhere, I'll just kind of go, oh, I'll just pop it on there. You're right. I'm just gonna, and then we go for a couple of hours, come back, and then go, oh look, well, I've got this much extra. It's not a faff.
Do you find yourself going into bat for electric vehicles and having the stress of trying to convince you, but wins up to? Do you find that you're stressed that you want your friends to love this electric car? I do,
and it's really hard. It's really hard, Rick. And actually, you know, I've got to remember, I can't just be evangelic about all of this. You know, I can't just push it because if it's not right for them, it's not right for them at the moment. Doesn't mean that, you know, kind of soon it will be.
But how many miles a day does Vicky do in her car?
So she drives from Amersham to Slough. God, that's how many miles? I don't know how many.
15
yeah,
miles?
Something like that.
20?
Yeah, so
Max?
30. Yeah, something like that.
Vicky, stop complaining. Well, you're killing the planet. No, I'm only joking. But, you know, generally, if she's only doing 20, 30 miles, 40 miles a day, And the average is what, 25 miles a day?
Yeah.
The average commuter or driver in the UK, that's how much they do. So
I
if
know.
you think about it, most electric cars now have a range of over 200 miles. So you're only going to need to charge probably, once a week at tops. My charger is sat empty for probably 6 days a week, probably more, because I just don't drive that many miles in the Tesla.
And I'm not doing so much at the moment, to be honest. I'm not driving too far. So I drive to Harrow and back on a Tuesday, and I'll probably be doing Northolt and back on a Wednesday. But so that's kind of, I think it's about 30 odd miles one way, or 30 to 40 miles. So it's not, so I'll probably charge more than you would in your Tesla. But like you say, just literally coming home, parking up, plugging in, coming in, and I know that it's gonna charge overnight on the cheap rate, which for us, it's
How much is that?
£3. It's £3 for us.
£3.
Yeah, yeah,
If
because
you're
ours is
listening,
a small
Jeremy
battery.
Clarkson, could you fuel up your Range Rover for £3?
I know, and it's the same with Vix and her Kia. So I can't remember what she's got. I think she's got a Sportage. So, but
Yeah,
it's
great,
kind of
great little cars,
yeah,
and
exactly. And she
but
lives up a hill that's like one in one. So she wanted something that actually that did that. So she's got it, but it's kind of like, okay, she knows
she
that.
needs a 4x4, and she needs something with good torque as well. And
Yeah,
I guess that's another thing. Like a lot of the electric cars now come with all wheel drive, so you've got all those different options. But and I will say this: when you go uphill, your battery just goes.
yeah.
It does fall off a cliff. But when you're going downhill, you've got regenerative braking, which means as soon as you take your foot off the accelerator, the kinetic energy and the momentum of the car is forcing more electrons back into your battery and giving you additional range.
I get very excited. It's very, very sad, but I get very excited when I see a mile going back onto my range. It's just one of those things, I do, because there's going from where I am in Caversham, which is just north of Reading, up to kind of cutting through all the little side roads up to Oxford, into Oxford onto the M40. There's one road where that's probably not quite one in one, but it's sort of like that. So I'm just like, right, let the regen take it, and I'm kind of, come on, give me a mile. So it's just great to see that. That coming back, and you can't get that with a petrol or a diesel car, can you? It's just
Why
different.
not? Why even like so? Okay, let's play devil's advocate here as well, because a lot
Go
of
on.
people do need to drive very long distances, and they
They do.
don't want to be faffing with charging. So, plug-in hybrids. Where do you
Yeah.
stand on those? Ooh,
Oh, I'm not a
that's not a
fan.
happy face.
I'm not a fan. Well, okay, so my unhappy face, for those of you who are listening, my unhappy face is because I've had other friends asking about plug-in hybrids, and it wasn't until I took, because our decision was to go straight to electric. That's for us. I didn't really know much about plug-in hybrids, until I did the research, and I realised that the range isn't massive, and obviously you've still got a combustion engine in there as well. So actually, I wouldn't say that was it. I don't know who that'd be suitable for, because maybe I just don't know enough about it. You tell me what you think.
Well, bear in mind, if you get a plug-in hybrid, which is a car that has an electric battery, meaning you can use electricity to drive your car, which is great around town doing the school drop, commuting or whatever. But then if you need that extra bit of range, you do have a petrol engine as well. So, but the problem is, a lot of people will get this plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and they'll just fill it with petrol, and they'll forget to fill it with electricity, which means you're then dragging around a heavier car because you've got a battery in there that is being driven around by the motor. So you've got to remember to charge it up as well. And it's so much cheaper to drive electric than it is to drive a petrol car. Plus, less maintenance for an EV versus a petrol or diesel car.
And I've had conversation with people about kind of team members who are working for a company, and they thought that they had a fully electric because it was a plug-in, even though it's a hybrid, they were still calling it, electric vehicles are rubbish because they don't have a big range, and things like that. So I suppose it depends on the business that they're working for to educate. And I know that people don't like the word educate, inspire, get them to understand what they are driving. It isn't a fully electric vehicle, so you can't really judge it in the way that you would with an electric vehicle. So that's what I'm hearing about hybrids from other people. I don't know whether you had the same.
I know that there's no silver bullet to this massive transport shift, but for people that can afford to get an electric car and that don't do loads of miles every day, get an electric car. It's a no-brainer. You'll love the experience. I think I've met one person that has gone back to petrol, and that's because they got an electric car that had a very low range and they drove all the time. So it didn't suit their lifestyle at the time. But we know that batteries are getting better, and we know that cars are getting better. So as the ranges improve, it is going to be available or it is going to be possible for everybody.
And your Tesla, your Polestar 2 that you took to the Alps, the long range one, what was the maximum range that you got out of it then?
Do you know what? It's difficult to say because we had so much mountain ranges to deal with.
Of course. Yeah.
So we decided to do that trip in 2 stints. So we left really early from London, and they went straight to Folkestone. And they've got chargers down at Folkestone. So when you're waiting for the Eurotunnel, you can plug in while you go and do grab a coffee, use the toilet, and in 10, 15, 20 minutes it takes to do that, you're basically fully charged again.
Yeah.
Because of how quickly that Polestar 2 can charge.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of just working out, you're going to be driving. I think we were driving for 6 hours before we needed to charge. So we got to a place called Reims or Reims, whatever you want to call it, somewhere in France. And we had no idea what the charging setup would be like, but we looked on Zap Map. It said you've got some ultra rapid chargers there, and it's got a cafe, it's got whatever. So we pulled in, plugged in. It was raining, so we were quick as we could. And by the time Callum and Lewis, who were with me as well, the content ninjas, by the time we'd gone to the toilet, grabbed a croissant and a coffee, it was I was like, right, come on lads, let's go, let's get back on the road, because we were fully charged again. So then it was the mountain range. So going up mountains, as I said, your range drops a lot, especially when it's very cold as well.
True.
But we knew that we had a charger once we got to our destination, so it wasn't as if we all we needed to do was make sure we got there with a few percent range. I think we got there with 20% range left, so plenty left over. So it wasn't too squeaky bum time. But also because we were driving, it meant that we could stop off whenever we wanted to. Whereas if you fly to your ski holiday or to your Alps trip, you're stuck in coaches and planes and then a coach transfer. Whereas with this, we got to see some of the most beautiful wildlife and countryside and nature that is on the planet. There's a place called Annecy, which a lot of people might not have heard of, but it is stunning, and it's on the way. Well, it's at the bottom of the Alps, great big huge lake, and we spent a few hours there just mooching around and having another croissant, and you have to say croissant apparently. So yeah, that's why I think driving opens up so many more possibilities of adventure.
So is that so that was your journey with Select Car Leasing, wasn't it? How, but it's not just the journey that you have. It's kind of like, obviously, the information that you're providing to people who are watching those videos is so I'm going to use the word educational, and like I say, being able to demonstrate that is fantastic, and especially because you do things in a very different way to a lot of other, I'm going to say, you content ninjas. The things that you're doing, like putting drones up. You've got to talk about that, because actually that to me, when you're filming, I'm watching how you're, it's been edited, and kind of going, how the hell did they do that? How the hell do you do that?
Brilliant. That's what we're looking for. We are generally always looking for, whenever we make our videos, it's always like, what's the wow factor? Where we want people to go, how have they done that? How have they got that shot? And we've got the sort of the traditional cameras like these Sonys, which are brilliant and they shoot beautiful footage, but it's heavy. It can be a bit bulky as well. It's not as agile as that might be. So sometimes that is a good bit of camera gear, and the best camera is the one that's in your hand. But then we've also got, as if by magic, we've got this guy. This is the Osmo Pocket, and it's a great bit of kit. And
sorry if you're listening to this, you won't be able to see it, but maybe I'll share some images of this. Hang on, what is that? Is that a moving like selfie stick then?
This is the DJI Osmo Pocket, and what it does is, well, it fits in your pocket, but also we use this for a lot of our traveling shots. So we can suction this onto the front of a car, and it just means that we can get some really nice Top Gear-esque shots, which just look really good in the final edit, and it's very useful for fast content as well. But I'm just going to show you as well another great bit of kit, which is the 360 camera that we use for a lot of our shots. And I think this, Liz, is one of the things that you go, how do they get that shot? And it's generally through something like this. So this has got two cameras, which give you an amazing 360 degree angle of every shot that you want. So you can't really take a bad angle. And it does some very clever stitching as well. It takes a lot of editing. That's the downside. Editing and getting it right is difficult. So we might spend a few hours filming something, but we spend a few days then editing it. So it's kind of getting that balance right between what the client wants. Do they want something that's just going to be fast turnaround, or do they want something that it can go on their website forever, or can go onto TV, or can be used as an advert? So it's trying to sort of work out the balance between that. But as I say, we love making content. We love making stuff that has exactly the reaction you said is, how do they do that?
It just is, honestly, like some of the things that I've seen you put out, I have really just gone, flipping out, how? And I wouldn't have a clue, but it's amazing. And some of the stuff, so you work with the EV Cafe, and you've worked with Power as well, because you were with Power on the EV Rally, and just a lot of the things that, especially the EV Cafe, I've got to ask you, were they the things that, say, for example, I think didn't you get them kind of going up and down fully charged on a scooter or something like that? Was that all your ideas, or did they come up with the ideas?
I mean, they're up for anything, that lot.
Yeah, they aren't
which is great, and I think that's we always ask the question, and say, would you be up for this? And more often than not, people will say, yeah, why not? And if they don't want to, we move on. But generally, we work with My Energy as well. Those guys are brilliant, great fun. They're up for anything. Select Car Leasing as well. We suggest things, and they're like, yep, go for it. And it's great to find partners that have got a bit of a loose screw, let's say. And I think the EV Cafe certainly falls into that as well. But you look at the OGs in the business, which is fully charged, and they've really raised the bar and set the standard. And it's great to see what they've achieved and what they're doing. And we take a lot of inspiration from what they do. And obviously we're working in a sort of different sphere to what they're doing, but their YouTube channel is epic. And I guess it's, as asking people, do you think you can fit in the frunk of this this Rivian R1T? Sarah Sloman, yeah, of course I can. Setting them a bit of a challenge, and and it always looks good in the shots as well. So we try to be a little bit different and try and stop the scroll, because it is difficult. You're in a very busy place as a content creator, so it's hard to try and cut through that. But we're doing our best.
And I think you do stop the scroll for definite, because of what you're doing and how you're doing it. I was going to ask you, what's the trickiest thing that you've filmed? I mean, obviously, maybe you're not the one who's doing all the editing. It might be one of your guys, but what is, actually to get the shots that you wanted? What's the most trickiest one that you've done?
Anything with kids or animals is so true. Kids can be a right pain, but the cold, the wet, the heat. When it's really hot, you got cameras overheating. When it's really cold, you got cameramen freezing, and it's I guess filming in the Alps was fairly tricky as well. Getting the drone up and getting the right shots. But anything with the drone is always squeaky bum time, because you never know when you're going to get hit by a pigeon or a gust of wind could take you off course. So that's difficult. Nearly lost one in Ibiza. That was hard. But we were filming on a glacier once for Nitro Rallycross over in Greenland, and put the drone up and getting some lovely shots, and suddenly the drone just decided it was just not going to come down. It was about it was probably about 40 feet up in the air, and it just wouldn't move. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to lose another drone. And gradually hit the emergency return to home thing. But that was a bit dangerous. We've lost camera gear, we've lost lenses, we've lost this and that. But it's it's part of the course, I guess, Liz. Why we're doing all this is inclement. Weather conditions are changing, and we need to start thinking about all of our actions. And it's not just big companies doing it. Individuals have to do their bit to slow down climate change, reverse climate change. Obviously everyone does their bit with recycling, but just turn the engines off. As Robert Llewellyn and the team say, stop burning stuff. That's a great start. But I think with our content as well, we're trying to encourage people to look at better ways to do things, whether that's getting a heat pump, or getting solar, or getting a bike. It doesn't have to cost the earth. And whenever we go on our road trips, we're always looking at ways that we can inspire more people to travel sustainably without costing the earth. So hopefully we're ticking a few boxes and inspiring a few people along the road to net zero.
Absolutely. So, and what would you like to see over the next few years happen? Obviously, we've got the zero emission vehicle mandate. That means that manufacturers are having to reduce the amount of petrol and diesel vehicles that they're manufacturing, and they're upping the numbers of electric. But is it just that?
I would like to see the UK government throw money at the problem. I'd like them to go, right, we've got an abundance of wind in this country, and not just from the likes of Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg, but also from all around the coast. We've got, it's not the sunniest place, but we've got enough solar. We live on an island, so there's loads of tidal, and we should really be leading the way when it comes to innovation in renewable energy. And once we've got that sorted, electric cars will then be really simple. But at the moment, charging is too expensive when you're on the road. I think those costs needs to come down a lot. The actual cost of electric cars needs to come down. We need to be investing more in battery technology. And we had a really great opportunity to do that with places like British Volt up in Northumberland. And that was allowed to come and go. And it's very depressing to see that our politicians and the people that are making the decisions are making the wrong decisions and aren't acting fast enough.
And I think it feels a bit like with government. I mean, no, obviously we've got a new, relatively new government still. It feels a bit like that tanker that got stuck down, kind of the strait in.
The Costa Concordia.
Yeah, I don't know. There's also.
Oh, no, not that tanker. That was a cruise ship.
Which one I mean anyway. Where they're basically trying to get it out of. I can't even. My mind's just gone totally blank now. But it just feels like government is kind of like moving a very, very slow moving tanker that actually needs to probably take some of its weight off and kind of move a bit quicker.
Well, I think they should be harsher on misinformation as well. And we look at the media, and you yourself, you must see this all the time. And whether it's online in newspapers, on TV. There's not enough people that know what they're talking about, and we're part of a group called the Decade of Doing Group, which we're not allowed to talk about. It's top secret, but it's a really cool group and a really big WhatsApp group. Ping, 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 ping. By the way, whenever we put our drone up, it's like the WhatsApp group on Dodd knows that my drone is up, and I hear ping, ping, ping. I've got loads of messages. Anyway, I digress. So I think helping to share that knowledge and just being passionate about what we do and encouraging more people to get bums on seats in electric cars, but vans as well. Paul Kirby will back me up on this one. We need better commercial vehicles because they're the ones that spend more time on the road. So anything that we can do to inspire that change will be very important as well.
No, I look forward to kind of seeing all of this starting to come into fruition, and like you say, if we can start moving forward a little bit faster, rather than thinking that we're not. Lots of people think that we are going fast enough with what we're doing, but we're really not.
Yeah. I think that goes the same for life as well. Life, we're here for a good time, not a long time, and it's just a short visit. So you need to make the most of that, and think your actions have consequences. And do you want your kids to turn around to you in 10, 15, 20 years going, you had a chance to do something, you've done bugger all? So
yeah, thanks.
I don't want that
Thanks
to happen.
that you can just imagine. Thanks for leaving this place in such a mess. Come on, did you not tidy the place up before you left the keys to us?
Yeah, you wiped your feet on the way out.
And you ran quickly.
Yeah, but it's true, isn't it? We've got to do a better job, and we've got to act fast. And I'm not vegan or vegetarian, but I do try to reduce the amount of meat I eat because I know the terrible consequences that has. The meat and dairy industry is so counterproductive to climate change. So we need to think about those as well, reduce that, and anything that we do in our day-to-day life, having quicker showers, having not as hot showers, just using your brain. Come on, people. And as Eric Cantona said, when we spoke to him at Goodwood Festival of Speed this year, we must behave. And he's right. It's a bit lost in translation, but we need to behave as a planet.
Absolutely. It's been. Do you know what? I do like the fact that you interviewed me a bit during this. It's been really, really interesting talking to you. I'm just, like I say, I think all of the stuff that you're doing is making a difference. And actually, do you know what? If hopefully all of what I'm doing is making a little difference as well. If we're all doing something, then hopefully we will get there. So on that note, Ric, I just want to say thank you ever so much for joining me. I will share all of your details in the show notes. It's been really, really interesting, and please check him out. Honestly, he's usually around for a variety, a variety of kind of events and things like that. So yeah, please do. But yeah, thank you very much for talking to me.
Absolute pleasure, Liz, and keep up the great work, and keep doing what you're doing as well, because it does all make a difference, and we'll hopefully get there in the end. And once again, apologies for my very farty, squeaky chair.
I'm sure nobody really heard it, honestly, Ric. So on that note, I want to just say thank you to everybody for listening and listening to the podcast and watching it. Obviously, there are people that want to hear Ric's squeaky bum chair. So please share. Please share it. Please share. I've started to say this at the end of every podcast. Please share. Please subscribe. Share this information with other people, because we do need to get as many people as we can on this journey with us. And the only way we can do it is by sharing it with everybody else. So on that note, I'm going to say thank you for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching Electric Evolution. I really love bringing you these weekly conversations about sustainability, renewables, and building a cleaner future together. If you're passionate about positive change, please like, subscribe, and share with others who also care about these topics. You can also download our white paper, Plugging into the Future, at fullcircleci.co.uk and join the discussion on improving sustainable transport, or email me at liz@fullcircleci.co.uk. Thanks for watching. Bye.